As the Iran war rages, is a top Trump ally now giving Mojtaba the perfect excuse to argue for even harder strikes on Israel's critical energy hubs? When Lindsey Graham said, "Don't destroy Iran's oil, we'll need it," is he accidentally admitting that Washington's long game is about controlling Tehran's energy, not just its nukes? As Israel bleeds under missile fire, could these US comments about oil and good investments push Iran to hit Tel Aviv and Haifa even harder in symbolic payback? In the middle of that debate, Iran's army now claims its drones have already gone after oil and gas facilities in Haifa, signaling that energy infrastructure is firmly on the target list. Did Iran's Kibar missile smashing into the Haifa area become Tehran's real-time answer to Graham's advice, hitting Israel's own fuel network instead of holding back? As the Iran war grinds on, Trump's most loyal hawks may have just accidentally revealed the real long-term prize they see behind the bombing campaign. On March 8, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham publicly urged Israel not to destroy Iran's oil economy, even as missiles kept flying in both directions. Graham argued that Iran's oil sector should be preserved for a future post-regime Iran, hinting that Washington hopes to inherit, not incinerate, that energy wealth. Graham said, and I quote, "Our allies in Israel have shown amazing capability when it comes to collapsing the murderous regime in Iran. America is most appreciative. However, there will be a day soon that the Iranian people will be in charge of their own fate, not the murderous Ayatollah's regime. In that regard, please be cautious about what targets you select. Our goal is to liberate the Iranian people in a fashion that does not cripple their chance to start a new and better life when this regime collapses. The oil economy of Iran will be essential to that endeavor." Unquote. His comments came right after Israeli jets struck roughly 30 Iranian fuel depots on March 7, torching key parts of Iran's energy network. Reports suggest those fuel strikes went further than some in Washington expected, raising fears of a wider oil shock. One Trump advisor told US media the president doesn't like the attack, he wants to save the oil, making clear what resource he sees as too valuable to lose. The same aide said burning depots reminds people of higher gas prices at home, tying Tel Aviv's targeting choices directly to US domestic politics. Graham's own social media post landed after bombshell Fox News interview, where he spelled out the oil calculus in unusually blunt language. Not long after, Iran reportedly launched a Kibar missile toward Israel's Haifa region, signaling that its response would also focus on energy-linked areas. Iranian statements say accompanying drones hit what they described as oil and gas facilities and fuel depots tied to Israel's port city. Officials added that the operation was carried out with suicide drones flown by Iran's Air Force, underlining that energy infrastructure is now fair game on both sides. On Fox News, Graham stressed that Iran and Venezuela together hold roughly 31% of the world's known oil reserves. He argued that if Tehran's regime collapses, it could open the door to a huge new energy partnership under friendlier leadership. The senator even said this outcome would be China's nightmare, and called the war effort a good investment if it delivers that oil leverage. Those remarks deepened criticism that stated war aims, missiles and security, are now blurring into open talk of oil, profit and global energy dominance. Graham said, and I quote, "When this regime goes down, we are going to have a new Middle East, and we are going to make a ton of money. Venezuela and Iran have 31% of the world's oil reserves. We're going to have a partnership with 31% of the known reserves. This is China's nightmare. This is a good investment." Graham also predicted that joint US-Israeli attacks on Iran would escalate further over the next 2 weeks. He bluntly promised that the United States was going to blow the hell out of Iranian forces as the campaign continues. Graham added that, after this war, no power would be allowed to threaten US shipping or energy flows in the Strait of Hormuz again. On March 9, Iran's foreign ministry spokesman claimed Washington ultimately wants to partition Iran so it can carve up the country's oil. Ismail Baghai said the real US goal is to violate Iranian sovereignty and seize control of its natural resources. He argued that Washington hopes to defeat the Iranian people, break the state apart and then move in on its oil riches under new order. His statement came as US-Israeli strikes continued against Iranian sites and as Gulf region energy infrastructure came under increasing fire.
مگر تا الان کسی شک داشت که هدف آمریکا
Does anybody have any doubt about the US goal of seeking to dominate other countries' resources? We heard Graham proudly saying that if the US can seize oil from Iran and Venezuela, they would control 31% of the world's oil resources. The US or Israel-Iran war has already pushed global oil prices back above $100 a barrel and rattled markets worldwide. Iranian retaliation has directly hit Gulf states that host US bases and key energy facilities, spreading the risk far beyond Iran's borders. Tankers have been stranded offshore, chunks of regional airspace have closed, and normal fuel flows have been repeatedly disrupted. Missile and drone attacks have turned oil terminals and storage depots into high-risk targets, forcing companies to rethink how and where they operate. Gulf states now face real damage to their own energy sites alongside political pressure from sitting in the crossfire between Washington and Tehran.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.